Sometimes resemblance goes beyond looking similar. It becomes impossible to ignore. The same smile, the same eyes, the same presence that makes people stop scrolling and instantly recognize the connection. That's exactly why celebrity mother-daughter duos like Cindy Crawford and Kaia Gerber or Lisa Bonet and Zoe Kravitz capture so much attention. Because it doesn't just feel genetic. It feels almost copied and pasted. But what makes these relationships fascinating isn't only appearance. It's legacy. Because growing up with a famous parent creates a strange kind of pressure. The world already knows your last name before it learns who you are. Comparisons happen automatically. Expectations arrive before your career even begins. And somehow, these daughters stepped into that spotlight anyway. Not just looking like their mothers, but building careers that keep the connection alive in an entirely new generation. And that's where the story becomes bigger than resemblance. Because eventually, people stop seeing the daughter as the next version, and start seeing her as a star on her own. Because inheriting beauty is one thing. Inheriting expectation is something completely different. That's the reality daughters like Apple Martin grow up with. When your mother is someone like Gwyneth Paltrow, people assume your future before you even decide it yourself. And that pressure quietly shapes identity. At first, many celebrity children resist it completely. They want distance from the image already attached to them. Their own path, their own story, something that belongs only to them. Apple admitted feeling exactly that way. Not wanting to become her parents. Not wanting to follow the obvious route. But over time, something changed. Because sometimes, the things people resist most strongly are actually connected to who they naturally are. Acting, performing, creativity. Slowly, the interest returned, not because of pressure, but because the passion itself became real. And that distinction matters. Because the strongest celebrity legacies don't continue through obligation. They continue through genuine connection. And when support comes from a parent who already understands the industry completely, that journey becomes even more powerful. And maybe that's why people love these stories so deeply. Not because celebrities look alike, but because these relationships represent continuity. One generation inspiring the next. Not perfectly, not without pressure, but authentically. Because behind every glamorous photo is something much more relatable. A mother wanting her child to succeed. A daughter trying to figure out who she is while carrying expectations she never asked for. And that emotional dynamic exists far beyond Hollywood. It's universal. That's why duos like Cindy Crawford and Kaia Gerber or Gwyneth Paltrow and Apple Martin resonate so strongly. Because people aren't just seeing genetics. They're seeing influence, guidance, support passed from one generation into another. And maybe that's the real reason these stories continue capturing attention year after year. Because in the end, people don't just inherit appearances from their parents. Sometimes, they inherit confidence, ambition, and the courage to step into their own spotlight too.